Welcome to One Shots, a Dum-Dums and Dice podcast where professional voiceover actors and improvisers tackle one-shot stories created in a variety of hit RPGs. I'm your host, DJ One Shot 2.0, and I'm here to welcome you to Wrath and Glory, Traitor's Hymn, an introduction to Warhammer 40k's Wrath and Glory RPG. This arc features our GM Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante, Borovic, and special guest Spencer Hipwell. What will happen when the Dum-Dums try a new TTRPG set in the grim darkness of the far future? Nobody knows, cause it's One Shots, Wrath and Glory Edition.
Welcome to the Gilead sector, a small corner of the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, cut off by a massive rent in time and space that conveniently launched a new edition of the game. Here, the remnants of the Imperium are locked in a desperate struggle against the impending forces of chaos, which admittedly is true across the Imperium, but here in particular, because being cut off from everyone else, they've come to rely on the Veronius Flotilla, a rogue trader who has made the heroic, selfless, vastly filial move of driving a massive flotilla of support through the warp in order to assist the Gilead sector. But as any of us who've traveled through the warp can tell you, sometimes things get a little bit bumpy. And as a result, the Veronius flotilla arrived damaged, kind of banged up. Maybe there's some chaos aboard, who knows? And as a result is now stuck in the Gilead sector alongside the struggling planets in a symbiotic, kind of broken relationship, trying to survive against the impending wave of chaos until help can finally arrive. And that is where our story will begin here in Wrath and Glory. We are playing Wrath and Glory. This is a system from Cubicle 7. And it is one that I know several of our viewers and listeners have wanted to see us tackle for a while. We've been playing Dark Heresy, but a Genesis adaptation. And this is the official one. This is the one that's actually like out that you can buy, that is around. And we are very excited to dive in. So this is our very first time playing this game. None of us at the table have ever played Wrath and Glory. Ryan's dabbled in reading the rules a little bit. I've read the quick start guide, but we're specifically going today to learn the game at the table. Here we've got the starter kit that contains everything we need to run a first adventure. So we're going to run that first adventure. We're going to learn the rules as we go. It's set up such that the rules are kind of layered in as the story goes. But unlike a lot of our shows, we don't know everything out of the gate from a rules perspective. So you're going to be learning right along with us as we figure out this new system. It's an exciting one. It's got a lot of familiar elements and is a fun way to explore kind of a different corner of the 40K universe that's a little bit more cut off, a little bit more remote, and has room for things like Xenos play our characters, which would just end in a bullet in our other game. So to kick things off, the players don't even have their character sheets yet, so we're going to do that in a sec. But first, let's do a round of introductions because we've got a new face at the table.
All right, so I'm Ryan LaPlante. I'm on the Valentine Heresy normally, excited to be back. And I'll pass it over to the person to my right.
Yeah, I'm Borovic. I'm also on Valentine Heresy Seasons 2 and 3. So, yeah.
I'm Spencer Hipwell. I'm very new to all of this. First time playing anything Warhammer, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we're very excited to have you here, Spencer. We wanted to set things up so we'd have kind of the full spread. Thank you to our friends at Cubicle 7 for sending us this starter set to try out. But it means we've kind of got among the players, there's the obsessive compulsive, knows everything about Warhammer, Ryan. We've got experienced in the RPG and Warhammer space, but not quite as obsessive as Ryan Dell. And we've got Spencer, who knows some stuff about 40K, but is a relative noob to the TTRPG space. I mean, you've played a bunch of other games, but we're all noobs today. But it's also a chance to kind of explore the lore, see that kind of intro. And then, of course, I mean, genius Tom.
And I'm Tom McGee. You may know me from such podcasts as many of ours, but I GM the Valentine Heresy Seasons 1 and 3. I'm in Season 2 as Nero Abagnale, who I love, and Dum-Dums and Dice, as well as or Dum-Dums and Dragons rather, as well as like Blood and Sorrow. I've been around, you know me. So yes, this is a new system for me. I've been excited to try Wrath and Glory for a while. It came out around the time we were starting Valentine Heresy, and we were kind of deciding which rule set to go with. And Ryan and I both had fond memories of not playing but wanting to play both Inquisitor and Dark Heresy, which was out of print at that point anyway. We wanted something less crunchy, so we went with Genesis. But yeah, Wrath and Glory is the currently available set, as I said. And once again, as Ryan mentioned, Cubicle 7 was good enough to send us a copy to try out. So many thanks to them. I've been looking over it, and it's great. So today we'll be playing the starter set, as I said. We're going to be playing a module called the Traitor's Hymn. And we're going to get weird in the Gilead system. So the way this game works, Wrath and Glory is a D6-based system. There are custom dice, which are pretty rad, but you can use any D6 you want. And again, we'll go over this as we play as well, but just to give everyone a baseline for what we're going to be doing. Basically, the way this system works is 4, 5, or 6 gives you an icon on the dice that come with the system. They actually have little skulls on them, so you know what's up. But on normal dice, you're looking for a 4, 5, or 6, and a 6 is an exalted icon, so that counts as 2 successes. So basically, whenever you're called to roll skills and things, you're going to be rolling your 6-sided dice, and we are looking for a 4, 5, or 6. Also, as we go on, we'll get into why each of you has one of these special dice. This is your Wrath dice, and it basically, or Wrath die rather, and it can create additional effects. But we'll play with that a little bit later on. For those of you that are familiar with the Vampire the Masquerade system that we use for Blood and Syrup in Canada by Night, it's very similar to that in terms of taking your skill and your attribute, adding them together, and that's how many dice you get to roll when you're attempting skill checks and that sort of thing. But none of that's useful if you don't have your characters. So all of you picked your characters in advance. The system, the starter book, comes with like these beautiful like little pre-printed folders that come with character background, secrets, objectives, connections, all that sort of jazz. So I'm going to hand these out to all of you now, and there's a few bits of business we need to take care of before we get going, largely around picking what your objective is going to be and what secret you want, as well as your connections to each other. So feel free to take a look.
They are very pretty. I just want to say this is deeply satisfying to open.
Yeah, they're really nice.
It is. The box opens with a big read this first with an Aquila that feels very much like an inquisitorial document, which was a real nice surprise. So feel free to open your character sheets there and take a look. Basically, we'll hold one of these up for the camera. If you're listening at home, as I mentioned, the real kind of main piece we want to be looking at here are your attributes, which are divided up into strength, toughness, agility, initiative, willpower, intellect, fellowship, and speed. And then the skills are kind of a standard array for these sorts of games. We've got athletics, awareness, ballistic skill, cunning, deception, insight, intimidation, investigation, leadership, Medicae, persuasion, pilot, psychic mastery, which is mostly just for Ryan, scholar, stealth, survival, tech, and weapon skill. Weapon skill being for close combat type stuff. Ballistic skill obviously being for the pew-pew-pews.
So Tom, the numbers next to the skills, do we add those to the attributes, or are the attributes already added in for die rolls? Like, for example, for my awareness, I have a 6 next to it, and it says that it's listed with, I think, intelligence.
Intelligence, yes. Mm-hmm. So it has, they have done the work for you.
Beautiful.
And have combined those. Otherwise, that would be...
I was like, you want me to roll 10 dice? I'll do it. I'm ready to be the most aware guy.
I see everything.
My psycho powers.
Yeah. I think on the normal sheet, you can also do this. But yes, they've just made it these quick start characters, or iconic characters, as they're called in the rules, which I thought was very nice. Iconic. Have a lot of the math done for you and are arranged slightly differently than a standard skill sheet, just so that we can literally open them and go, and then get into playing. So on the left kind of open fold, you'll find a little couple paragraphs about your background. You'll find a list of connections, and that is to the other players and other iconic characters here at the table. So we'll be going into those a little bit before we get started, as well as secrets. So at the beginning, we want to choose one or more secrets that you can flesh out with as many details as you want as we go along. We wanted to do this on air rather than in secret beforehand, just so that we could actually talk about the mechanics of it a bit and figure it out all together, since this is very much all of us muddle through a game playthrough rather than like a a slick hit the ground running, like we've all spent years crafting our characters. It's like, no, we're figuring it out as we go. The main body of the sheet, again, you've got your attributes and your skills. You've got Wrath, which we'll get into. Those are spendable points. In terms of, you've got a little survival box there that just kind of breaks out some of your other statistics. But basically, defense is how hard you are to hit. So in D&D terms, you can think of that as like your armor class. But basically, the difficulty rating, you need 2 successes. So for example, I'm looking at at Trave Malcon the 22nd, who is a Scitarius, which is Adeptus Mechanicus
soldier.
Yep. So cool robes, cool gun, looks nice. Probably has some horrible trauma, but 40k. So for Trave, Trave has a defense of 2, so you need 2 successes to hit Trave in combat. Resilience is what you can subtract from injuries. So Trave, being a metal boy, has resilience of 9. If he got hit for 10 damage, he would take 9 off of that and only take 1. Your wounds are how much damage you can take before you die. Or take grievous injury and slowly die. There's also a stat here called shock. And again, we'll talk about these more as we play through, because in the construction of this module, they very helpfully fold these things into the story. So it's like, and at this point, when you're in combat, read this thing that explains how this mechanic works, which is great. But shock is basically how much your brain can take before it snaps. It's usually like stress or strain in other games. But what's cool about shock is you can actually attempt to divert wounds to shock instead of taking them. It requires a dice roll, so it's not like you can just declare. You can't be Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy. You actually have to roll to see if it happens. But the idea being that you're all better than the average imperial citizen, and you're able to kind of like tough through these things a little bit. You can see corruption and mutations. We'll get into those when appropriate. Lols. For your talents and abilities, there's a handy flap on the right here. The sort of right flap has all of those written out for you. So you'll see they're just listed. In my case, I've got heavily augmented. I've got an automatic eye and subdermal armor. All of that is listed off to the right. So that'll just give you a sense of some of the cool abilities that your characters have. As well as for each of you, you'll probably have a little paragraph about what your character's deal is. I've got an Adeptus Mechanicus summary just to get a quick sense of what's going on. And then in terms of your equipment notes, you'll see kind of what... you'll see your war gear gives you your actual like weapons and armor and such, but your equipment is just kind of cool shit you're carrying with you. So give that a look.
Yeah, good luck stopping me, Chaos. I have a blanket.
Hell yeah.
I kind of do.
Yeah. And then for your objectives, you can pick an objective that you're trying to do during this session. If you complete your objective, then you gain a Wrath token. So Wrath tokens, just to cover that quickly, are a little bit like story points in Dark Heresy, in the Genesis version of Dark Heresy. You can basically spend them to gain cool shit. So are those Wrath points or those glory points? It's one of the two. But basically there are, and again, we'll get to those mechanics as we go. But there are tokens, essentially. We have a whole bag of tokens that we won't be using because we're on an audio medium, and that sucks for listeners. But we'll keep track as badly as we do in our other games on paper. But basically, you can spend these things to gain advantages, to gain information, all that sort of jazz. So those are the base mechanics. I know it's vaguely confusing. It'll make a lot more sense once we're actually playing it. And again, the rules are very good about just slowly introducing these pieces one by one. So obviously, I just handed you these sheets. I also like that they have a very clear, do not look inside this, in all caps, this character sheet unless you are the GM or are definitely going to play Treve. There are secrets within. So like secrets. But yeah, take a minute to look over your sheets. And then once you are ready, we will figure out what our connections are and what your secrets and objectives are. You don't have to share the secrets with the rest of the party. I just need you to know which one or two you've got.
I mean, here's the thing. My friend, what's your name? Honoria. Okay, so just in case anybody knows this, I'm playing Somnus, so I'm going to be playing a Psyker.
I gotta write these down for sure.
Yes,
and I'm sure we'll do the intro in world. But I get to know Honoria, who I know you are playing Del.
Yes.
One of my secrets is that I learned a secret about you, so I know your secret.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Or
well, I
some
gotta
of it,
figure
or
out what
whatever.
it is.
But yeah, you got to decide that. But I get to know that one.
Okay, so
And then Mary.
And then because I have a secret that affects roleplay, I'm also going to tell you, my dear friend Spencer. How are we pronouncing the name of your character again?
I think we'll go with Marius.
Marius.
Yeah.
My secret tells me that I sense a kindred spirit in you because your humanity is being slowly lost in duty. So you might be someone who can understand my struggles, which I'm going to say probably means that though most Space Marines absolutely hate psychers, if you start off being like, fuck that psyker, it's going to be really hard for me to play this secret forward. So I think we may be somewhat friendly.
Well, don't worry. I was like, okay, don't be too much of a dick was my plan.
Okay,
already.
okay, then
I
we're
was
good.
like,
Then we're good.
We know the stereotype of the Space Marine, but
Yeah,
like,
my paper says you can't be.
my mom said you can't be mean to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, but I will. And then, Tom, do you just want to? It says we can take one or more. Would you rather we just take one for the sake
You
of
can
this?
take as many as you want. My only promise or my only condition is I can't promise we'll get to all of them because I didn't write this one.
Okay. Why? Okay. All right. I'll take like a primary and then a secondary. We're like, if it comes up, cool.
Great. They are all built. All the ones that are on the sheets are obviously built to interact with this module. So feel free to take all of them if you want. I'm cool with that. Just don't expect a surprise reveal of like your long lost father in the final act or anything. Father, why are you on this ship?
You were the chosen one.
Yeah, well, high ground and anywhere in the galaxy, high ground's a bad thing for people on the low ground.
Oh, these are good secrets.
All right. I'm taking all my secrets.
I think I'm gonna take all of them because I'm trying to think.
Yeah, do it. Take them all up.
And the one, I think I might actually share that just as like another, an olive branch, you might say. The coming of the Primaris Marines, because I'm just regular, and they're showing up now, has caused me to doubt myself.
Oh, that you're like shittier. That
I'm
makes
like,
sense.
I'm not as good. These guys are taller. They look pretty cool.
Taller, stronger, faster,
Did
more
you
murdery,
see
more
the
durable.
new trailer? They're so cool.
This character has actually just seen the 10th edition trailer.
Oh, well, incidentally, that is one of my favorite weird quirks of this setting. The starter kit comes with a full setting guide, which I really appreciated. A lot of it won't touch this adventure, but it's just fun to know. And the deal with your chapter in the Gilead system is the Marines who are on this side of the divide, who are like already in the sector, are refusing to accept Primaris Marines into their ranks. And as a result, there's just like a bunch of Primaris on a ship being like, hey, we're here from Terra. Can we join up? And the Marines are like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, you're not. And what's a Primaris? And no, which is I love just as a lore thing because the obviously like the system is like, hey, look, everybody, Primaris Marines are here. This is amazing. Mm-hmm. And your sect is having the same reaction I did looking at all my old Dark Angel models, being like, no, they're not. Shut up. We're cool. We're fine.
How is it that the Primaris work again? It's because they're better, and
they were created by
Belisarius, right?
Belisarius Call, who had secretly been working in. He had secretly been working in. Like functionally, he showed up from the webway back to Terra and was like, Emperor told me to do this 10,000 years ago. I've been working over in a corner. By the way, millions of Marines. It's all better, gotten worse. And they're really cool. Yeah. That's been Belisarius Call's modus operandi. It was just like, they told me to go work in that corner. No one was looking at. Did you know over there I've millions upon millions of
Jedi Master Sifo DS arrived and said, I need you to make me a clone army.
Exactly. And you're not going to say no.
Yeah, exactly. So they're bigger and badder. Normal Marines can become Primaris, but they got to cross the Rubicon, which just A+ naming, but it kills a bunch of them. And look, I'm not saying it's a great way to buy bigger models and to just reduce the number of Space Marines. It's a little bit like every time the X-Men has to cull the mutant population, where it's like, oh shit, everyone's a mutant now. No more mutants. Now there's 6. Okay, we're back. So those are Primaris. Okay. Cool. And yes, I will say one thing, having looked through all the character sheets, there are Xenos characters in this world like that players can play as. Like you can be an Eldar,
Kidding.
Eldar. You can be an Orc, you can be whatever. And they've done a really slick job of explaining why none of these characters catch a bullet from the other PCs. None of your characters may be suspicious of each other, but none of them are like, hate Xenos with a burning passion, will shoot on sight. So even with like, I'm a psyker, it's like, but you're one of the good ones.
But you're sanctioned, so that's fine.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so I've got my secrets chosen.
All right. So I guess I'll just tell my secrets.
Do you
since
want to
they
tell it
have
to everybody, or do you want to just tell me the one? Is there one you want to be secret from others?
No, I feel like if this is a secret that you know, I'm going to roll
I
two
just know because
secrets.
we work together.
I know.
before.
I'm going to roll two secrets in together. And it is, one of them is a newly trained sister I led into battle that fell under my command. As she died in my arms, she closed my fingers around a pendant of a heretical sect, but I never had the heart to destroy it or give it to my superiors.
Oh, that's
Oof.
And I also heard that at the shrine, a deacon was taking bribes, but I did nothing and told no one.
oh. Okay.
Keeping
All right.
it chill
That's-
over here.
that's
I'm
a-
just keeping it chill.
I'm just chill. Just
Look, my
it's-
name's Honoria, but I have no honor. Yeah.
Hiding
I don't know.
thieves,
That's
hiding
pretty-
thieves, and keeping heresy. That's,
Yeah, that's, you
that's
know.
her deal.
That's the sister's way.
All right, I have made it. Do you want me to say my secrets, Tom? What do you want for session
Well,
zero, baby?
I mean, like, I would like to know. If
Yeah.
you think the other characters would know, that's cool. If you want to keep it from the other characters, then just pass me the sheet and point at it aggressively.
I don't think anybody, like, I don't know what our deal is, but I think none of these strike me as terribly secret.
I think
One-
I could say mine as well.
Oh,
like
yeah.
You
Well,
guys,
just-
especially because you're human.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. In terms of like, I like to avoid the meta, but like, I don't know. I feel like these ones will be safe. I feel like, and I think I'm
we're
going to take
all
all
gonna role
three.
play here.
It's safe. Yeah. All right. I got sent here by the administratum who I work for, so I'm supposed to. I have. I'll keep my one secret, but I'll say it out loud so listeners know because I think that's fun for them to know
That's
if
cool.
we know.
That's
Yes,
so cool.
yeah.
So the actual hidden one is that he's seen the deacon die. Somnus has seen a vision of the deacon dying next to a body of water, perhaps on Enoch. He's not sure. Beside the sea. So he's just seen that. That's just like a thing he's aware of, who's traveling on the ship, apparently.
Okay.
The other ones are I've been sent by the administratum to figure out if something's going on with the captain, because we can't say anything to the head of the flotilla unless we have proof. So I've been sent to just keep an eye on that dude.
Okay.
And then another one that I think this one he would keep to himself but be very aware of is that a demon in the warp knows his name and I'm actively hiding from it. So
Oh no!
because I love Spawn, it's going to be the demon Malbolgia.
Oh, that's a good-
That is like the name that he knows of this demon that's just been like paying him a little bit too much attention, and he doesn't need to tell anybody that. He saw a demon one time, whatever. This is not happening. Emperor.
It's fine.
There's this clown. It was a whole thing.
Do you know what? If I don't want to keep too many things secret, I'll keep the demon secret. Even the deacon thing that like this dude might die, that can be known as well. I don't think he'd have a reason to hide that. I was blending them in my head and was like, the deacon's corrupt, and I want to oh no wait, the deacon's just going to die. That's fine. You can tell
that's
Honoria that.
different.
We don't
That's
want him
not
to die.
heretical.
Just comes up at like work, like this deacon seems like a dick. It's like, you want to hear something really crazy?
Yeah. So Captain Criminal, Deacon Die, and then the demon thing is just in my heart. In my heart, I
Just
know.
that was
It's
just
bad.
me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That sounds cool. Okay. Ooh. So for my secrets, yeah. So I have the doubt, which I feel like that'll come into play pretty easily. I've also been entrusted with a secret mission by my commander. So this one will be like we'll say it, but it's secret. It's
Secret.
secret.
We don't know
We don't know.
this.
It's
We don't know.
double
Somnus
secret.
and Honoria don't know this. But
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that would make more sense for this Boy Scout. Determine if is it Veronius?
Yes.
I think Veronius himself can be trusted. So I'm not sure who Veronius is.
So Veronius is the rogue trader who runs the fleet. So he has become the his name is I think Gerald. Let me just confirm that though.
It's Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry.
Little Jerry Veronius.
Jerry.
Jackal.
find you,
Jackal. Or Jakel probably. So Jakel Veronius is the rogue trader who put together this convoy. He is extraordinarily wealthy, extraordinarily just like a force of nature, as you would imagine someone would need to be to put together a flotilla to breach. And Ryan, you may know the name of this. The Chaos Breach is the Lux.
Well, are we in Imperium Nihilus or what are we?
You're
which side are we
past
on?
the rip in space time.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, so there's like the Eye of Terror, and then so there's the Imperium has been split into two sections. So there's like Imperium proper that has remained outside of the warp storms, and then there's Imperium Nihilus, which is on the bad side of the line through the galaxy, where everything's trapped in warp storms.
We are definitely in Imperium Nihilus zone.
Yeah, we're in the bad
Yeah,
zone.
I think that
Yeah.
came up because we don't.
So basically,
limited.
in order to reach
Yeah, they'd have to breach a ton of warp storms. It would be and like massively risky too, because
some bad weather brewing.
The percentage of ships that are lost traveling through Imperium Nihilus is huge, because it's the equivalent of flying into the edges of the Eye of Terror historically.
Damn.
But they're having to do that with every ship.
Oh. Yeah, so basically, we're cut off by the Great Rift, and the Gilead system comprises 8 worlds in orbit around a sickly yellow star. 6 of them are native to Gilead, reclaimed for the Imperium with Bolt and Blade millennia ago. 2 are intruders, a pair of ominous rogue planets spat up by the whims of the Ciatrix Maledictum. So there's just it's bad news.
I think it's Cicatrix.
Cicatrix,
sure.
yeah,
it might be. Sure. There was a few familiar names.
Gotta go strong and wrong on all these vaguely Latin.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is Games Workshop themselves even switch things up. It's one of my favorites where they put out the official pronunciation video of how to say all the names, and they're like, "It's Abaddon," and then I was like, "Okay, I can give you that one." And then at the end, they're like, "And it's Lieutenant," and I was like, "That's blatantly wrong in a lot of cultures." And then 2 months later, they put out a reveal for a new, I think, one of the Vashtor books. Yeah. And they were like, "We're really excited for Abaddon to just be doing this." And it was so funny to hear the design team 2 months later. And I was like, do you know what? It's all true, because it's all just filtering through the Imperium. However you want to say it, you're right.
If anything, that somewhat makes more sense than anything. It's kind of like how like multiple names will come up. Like in real life, there's not just one John.
Yep. So it's the Kicky Tricks male dictum, you know?
Yeah. The Primarch Robot Guileman.
Bobby Gilly. Yes. So he put together a flotilla to basically break through the Ciatrix Maledictum, whatever, but basically the Great Rift. And the plan was to arrive as a conquering hero with aid, Adeptus Astartes on board, sisters on board. It was literally just kind of everything. It was a one-stop shop. Everything you could need in a sector that's cut off. He was going to come in and be the cool fleet that arrives to save the day. But traveling through the Great Rift, not great. So over the course of that, the fleet was battered, bruised, broken, and by the time it arrived, still has a lot of those factors. But also Gilead didn't welcome them with open arms. They were in a fight for survival. Also, Jake Hill set himself up as lord of the sector, essentially. He's become the de facto, because he's the only one with a fleet. So I was saying to folks upstairs, as a longtime fan of Battlestar Galactica, it's very much like if Galactica and co. showed up to a bunch of inhabited planets and were like, well, we're the only ones with ships. So I don't care that you don't love my authority. I have all the ships.
Yeah.
I have the ships that produce food. I have the ships that produce fuel. I have the ships that produce weapons. What have you got, individual planets? Resources for me? Well, that's nice. So it's the sector itself has very complex politics. Each of the ships is almost like a city-state within the flotilla. They have their own captains. They have their own, in some case, lord captains. There's a lot of different politicking going on. And, of course, a variety of different agendas. And again, I can't stress enough how much fun reading the Veronius Flotilla setting book was, because there's just a lot of really interesting Imperium characters who run each of these sects and have very clear, strong agendas for coming here. Because it is there's people who are missionaries who are like, we're going to spread the word, and things have changed on the other side of the rift. And the people in Gilead are like, what are you fucking talking about? We're good. You've got this marine problem. You've got Adeptus Mechanicus being like, there are space hulks here with old tech that we desperately need. But to get it, we have to go through, and they can't get back across the rift now. So anyway, fun times. So you basically your task then is to really keep an eye on the top dog in this and be like, can this guy be trusted? Because the whole sector has essentially been entrusted to this one rich billionaire being like, I bet I can save the day, hop in Smithers and going through him. So
But Space Marines work with people, not for people, which is why you get to decide whether or not he's reasonable.
Great. Okay, well then with my last secret, and this one definitely secret, though not yet of rank to do so, you have observed one of the secret rituals of the Absolvers and learned one of the guarded secrets of your chapter. So I got a little ahead, and I don't think I want my bosses to know that.
Do you know what that secret is, Tom, or do we invent that secret?
We can invent this. We will talk a little bit more about the Absolvers just as we kick off, which is the Marine chapter that is present here. The ship that I think you would have come off of, Marius, has I think 100 Primaris Marines on board to bolster the ranks, but they are trapped on board because the Marines on their home planet base will not allow them to land because they're like, we don't what are you talking about? But we will talk particularly about one of the things that's nice. I should just jump ahead a little bit here, but one of the nice things about the way this starter kit is set up is that actually they have baked in flashbacks to give us a little bit of insight into who each of you are out of the gate. So that's a system that we usually use in a lot of our games that I'm just fond of, and Ryan, you're fond of it as well. Just to dig into character backstory in a way that it might not come up otherwise, or if a player is sick, it's just very convenient to be like, here's the flashback episode, don't worry about it. But this module actually has it baked right in off the top, so we'll dive a little bit into that chapter, and particularly your feelings about it then, and your secret might come up there. We can play with that a little bit.
Cool.
In a few minutes. Cool. So that's good. And then you should have a list of connections to each other. We've talked a little bit about this, but I just want to make sure we formalize these. In terms of who you all are, the Rogue Trader is constantly recruiting agents to do, again, like as you can imagine, he's basically now in charge of a bunch of planets and a bunch of city-states, none of which fully recognize his authority. Some of the agents are slightly less savory. Some come from a variety of kind of shady backgrounds. In the case of the three of you, you are all kind of Imperium aligned folks. So an easy pickup. I think that would also probably create some easy camaraderie amongst you. But I suspect that what we're probably looking at is a bit of, he puts out a call saying, I need agents. Each of your sects picks you to send as like, you seem like the most reasonable person to go. So with that in mind, again, I think as you've all been indicating, safe to assume that you somewhat trust each other, because you're not like, well, I'm a street rat with a heart of gold. It's like, and I'm a soldier, but I'll understand that sometimes rules must be broken. It's like all of you are sanctioned. And so, yeah, I'll leave it to you to determine what connections you want to use and how those play.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pre-programmed, so we've obviously, like, fleet time is going to be its own thing because we had to travel here, so that's a given. But Nori and I have met apparently on an audit on Enoch previously, or something like that.
Came to Enoch previously.
Oh, the Enoch. Okay, so during our many travails, we have worked together where I was checking someone's taxes, the administratum, and then learned about your secrets. I'm going to imagine through just general like psychic bleed of picking
because
up.
My description said that I gleaned you have great sensitivity and psychic visions from the time we've met before. So I know you're legit.
And you know I know your secrets, and I know that, so that's fine.
Do you think you'd be more likely to be slightly open because you know he knows? Do you think that would happen?
Do I know that you know my secret?
I mean, you gleam it kind of. So
I'm saying like we could probably lean into that if we were, like the idea that you know that I'm super sensitive and I know your secrets is really weird to have it be completely abstract. Whereas if I know your secrets and I haven't told anybody, but it's just like we know.
Totally, we know each other. And my only footnote on that was just that it says I'm watching you closely to be sure you're not led astray. So I'm just like, we're together. I know psychic stuff can get a little funky.
Yeah, and I got to make sure.
But I'm like,
I got to make sure you don't keep collecting heretical pendants.
It's different.
It's a collection.
It's different.
The first one was an oopsie, but the second one's going to be a problem when it happens.
Well, no collector has ever stopped at one.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been sent around as an administratum person on an ongoing basis, so I wouldn't be surprised if I'd met Marius, because the idea of if you're going to send a Space Marine somewhere, if there's going to be psychic anything involved, the Space Marines are tough, but at the same time, mental assault can happen.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that makes sense. The way I approach you is, I believe, I find you fascinating, and I see that you have power to you as well. So, like, clearly you are potent because we've both picked up on it.
We get it.
But I also fascinating, but also I kind of pity you in a way because you are, close to the warp, I guess, in terms of one of the things. And then the way you approach the Emperor makes my guy uncomfortable because I just slightly enough that it's like, you approach him like a god. I see him as a military commander. Oh, good job.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's true to almost all. There are very few Space Marine chapters that actually see the Emperor as a god. They usually see him as a brilliant human who led them or created them.
Yeah, especially being cut off. Yeah. If anything, I thought it was more likely
they'd lean
to happen.
harder in. Yeah,
yeah.
Old traditions die hard. Yeah, because then I'm like, there's a fun thing if we lean into an idea that exists in a bunch of things, which is like Space Marines can end up almost having like a mortal that they have philosophical conversations with because they're not philosophical beings. So the idea of just talking about the nature of humanity with a tremendously fragile,
I think there was
kind
a
of crazy
quote like
psyker.
that. There was like a quote between, I think it was a Primarch and I think another Space Marine, but they were talking about like, but don't be offended by this, but that was very human of you or something like that. And it kind of like gleans on that a little bit because we forget they have downtime.
And I find you relatable because you're also losing your humanity.
Yeah,
Well,
so that's where the
have
big
lost.
And a useful thing about the Absolvers that, again, will come up in the flashback sequence, but is useful here too, is one of the chapter's rituals is that in order to earn your Black Carapace, you have to lead mortal troops in combat.
Yeah.
So I think of all the Space Marine chapters, the ones most that to me suggests that that Marius, but also like the Absolvers in general, would be more inclined to have a close relationship to mortals because the chapter is kind of built on you have to understand the common person in order to
You're an alien
ascend.
trying to understand humanity to be able to be better at fighting.
Yeah. You don't have acidic spit? Ugh. Weird.
What do you even do?
What do you even do? You
Do you
just
even go
Do
here?
you just like lick bread? Like
Do you
Bread.
learn-
Whoa.
Do you
So
learn
sorry.
the bread's memories when you eat it?
yeah.
Your
All I need is
almophagia will absorb the bread.
all I have. I think the only thing I have left to become like the fully fledged Space Marine because I can't remember how it works with the Scouts, but it's almost a Space Marine. I think I'm just missing the Black
Carapace. Yeah, you haven't been inducted into the rites yet. So this is, and again, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But that is that's the last kind of big step for you is you have to do that, which we'll talk about in your flashback sequence. I'll also point out, so Enoch is the Shrine World in the Gilead system. So this is likely, Del, how do you want to pronounce your character's name? Honoria?
Honoria?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so this is likely where Honoria spends a lot of her time. But just for context, it was claimed by the Adeptus Ministerium during the Gilead Crusade. It was transformed from an imperial cult, by the imperial cult, from an impoverished heretical planet into a shining beacon of faith to the emperor. The land suitable for building has been covered in skyscraping cathedrals. Towering cliffs have been carved into colossal likenesses of saints. It's the center of worship. It's a wealthy world and a frequent destination for pilgrimage. Priests trained there often come from great influence and power, which often brings it into conflict with the other authorities within Gilead. So makes sense that that'd be somewhere you would go to Sonmus to investigate things, and Honoria probably like a good...
Yeah.
A
This is
good-
Honoria's homeworld also.
Oh, wow.
She's from here.
Oh, you're from here.
Yeah, this is I'm a local.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh, okay. That's
That's why I met you doing the taxes.
Hey, I'm here to talk to you about your car's extended warranty.
I paid all my dues.
Yeah. Do you have extended coverage from the Emperor or just normal coverage? 'Cause
Also,
I got-
Eternal
have you seen a tiny gecko? And if you have, that's heresy.
That's the icon. It's just the Geico logo. So then, Honoria, the other thing you should probably know about the fleet is the sisters who showed up with the fleet are part of a ministry. They're here to spread the word.
Yep.
And you do not care for their particular brand.
Oh, their vibe is off?
Yeah, the sisters of the system. I forget the actual name, but it's something around shields. But it's basically like they've been a defensive sect. So it's like, as opposed to going off crusading, their job is to like, we hold the line. So they've been basically keeping the sector safe up until the Great Rift, which like no one's keeping that safe.
Yeah.
But it also means that they've been more local, have kind of established traditions, and then suddenly this ministry shows up being like, oh, well, we've got some new ideas. It's basically it's the equivalent of like Protestant doctrine, where it's like, we've got some different ideas about shit. And the sisters who are in system are like, no, we're good. Thank you. Thank you for that. But the lady running the ministry is like, no, I am bringing this. So
Theoretically, Imperium Nihilus occurred. This is me throwing this from the outside, Tom, so feel free to ignore.
No.
But Imperial Nihilus occurred before / in line with Gilliman returning and being named Imperial Regent and ultimately a saint. So it has thrown the Ministorum for a loop because they've shown up and been like, there's a new semi-god. Like, there's a new demigod.
Yeah.
We need to do this, which Gilliman hates. But like, because he thinks the religion is insane. But that's been part of it. So it's like a new massive crusade doctrine of going out and fighting because Gilliman has re-geared the Imperium to retake and solidify its safe borders before pushing it to Nihilus. So there'd be a lot of like, we got to get ready for the big war.
Yeah, so just to give some context on this
out.
character we won't be meeting, but I read about this morning and I was like, she's fucking badass. So her name's Jessael Thorne. She's a canoness and captain of the Juliana's Homecoming, and basically she authored a 200-step plan to bring the light of the Emperor to the people. But her plans are viewed as dangerously progressive and in some cases stand in direct contradiction to current canon law. And so she's sort of a big rogue figure in the Adeptus Ministorum, and maybe was sent to Gilead to get her out of the way. Who knows? But she's just like a super scary, badass canoness who is like, I have come up with a 200-point plan that I will institute. And everyone's like, that's great. Can you take it to the Gilead system? She's like, of course, I will spread the word there. So anyway, one of the many fun characters we won't meet on this round, but she was my favorite of the ones I read this morning. So all that to say, yeah, likely some unease in the same way that Marius, probably some unease for you in terms of like, why wouldn't you just accept these 100 Marines? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, we have 100 giant dudes with guns, and you're saying no? Mm-hmm. But you can determine whether you're from here or from the flotilla. It's up to you. Because if you're from here, then it's like, who are these idiots? I don't like this. If you're from the flotilla, then it's another story.
I originally had it thought that like he'd be local because of like, well, one being a regular Space Marine amongst the Primaris coming over, I feel like would be a very different effect for him too. Mm-hmm. But I feel like maybe it'd be interesting to have, I don't know, obviously you can like kind of decide, but like if he's local but he's like, these ones seem really good.
I like that makes sense.
Like obviously he's not going to necessarily voice his opinions because he's lower in the ranking, and all of the rest are like, they're different. We don't want that.
But if you'd been sent to figure out if Veronius is legit, that may be the reflection on how legit are these 100 Primaris Marines.
Well, and
that's a good question.
Your character, one of the kind of like driving focuses for him is like to ascend into marinehood, and I think to your point, there's a very different vibe if it's like, I'm not a fully fledged Marine and I've just seen that there's a rank above Marine and I'm a climber. That's where I want to go, as opposed to we are already like, we're firstborn, we were told we're the best of the best, and then new guys show up and like, actually we're better. Also, the dead guy you don't believe in sent us, and they're like, wait, what? No. So I like that. I think that's just a nice angle, which is like a little bit more curious about it. Which I guess raises the question if you're also local. I assumed all these characters were part of the fleet, but
canonically, I think not local because I've been assigned by the Administratum to work for the flotilla,
I see.
as opposed to. So I think I flew in, but I'm not. I'm loyal to the flotilla in that I'm doing a job among the flotilla, but I work for the Administratum and have been assigned to this.
Well, and that's true throughout the flotilla. Like as I was talking about with Thorne, it's like they're just, everyone's got an agenda. The Mechanicus being on board the flotilla at all, like there's basically a forged ship that's just like processing promethium and all those other things, and literally like the flotilla was ready to go, and then all of a sudden the Mechanicus joined, and everyone's like, what? And he's like, shh, don't worry about it, off we go. So there's just like a massive Adeptus Mechanicus. No one knows why they're there. No one knows how he got them on side. But like, it means that there is literally a different agenda flying alongside. Yeah. So there's lots of different shit going on.
So he's just trying to keep this flotilla working. Like, what's the best thing for the Imperium until this can end and he can
and I will say,
die.
Based on the Mechanicus sort of bigwig, there are unexplained mechanical failures across the fleet after the crossing. So there's a lot of, and obviously you're not Mechanicus, but like, I think as a psyker, you would be aware, like, a lot of the failure isn't, oh no, our toaster broke down. It's like, oh no, our toaster grew an eye.
I was just gonna say, oh no, the gears on the side are made of meat now.
Yeah, they mentioned that they disliked the work. It's a problem. So I like that. And having the other agenda thing is totally fine. Again, like none of you deal with the rogue trader often. Like he hired you, but it's not like he is, again, a very important guy. So it's not like Veronius is just around being like, how's that going for you? He's at distance.
Has coffee at your desk. So how's that Excel sheet going?
You put that heresy TPS report on the front of the facts.
I was going to say, and Marines could have sent you, Marius, because you're still human enough to be able to read human emotion.
Yeah, enough. I'm even trying to figure out, like, because it says he's been doing this for a while. He's almost done the process. So like, he would have been like, what, it's like 12 or something when they're like first grabbed.
Yeah, between 8 to 12.
So he's like, I don't know, he's probably
20.
Yeah, probably in his
18,
20s.
20.
And yeah, so he's like trying to like get around this. He's met you guys before. And I feel like with the view of being the local, but like with the doubt of the new Primaris, I feel like will maybe help, because obviously I want to still follow like the chapter and like as itself, but I feel like if I'm like a little bit of like the slight different idea but doesn't necessarily voice it, I feel like it'll be good for like the team.
For sure.
I feel like that'll be cool.
Well, and there is the Marine commander showed up is also in like open disagreement with the Marine commander on the planet. So it's also, unlike a lot of Marine politics we see in 40K where it's like completely unified under one clear vision, there is no clear vision here. Also, fun fact about the Absolvers, all of their leadership was called back to their home planet at some point. There was a big like, you must return. People thought maybe they discovered the source of their gene seed. So like all the central leadership left and then the rift happened. So no one in this sector knows. No one in the flotilla knows. No one in this sector knows what happened to them, which means there's also no clear, well, our boss said. It's very much like, last thing they said was this. I don't know. So there's a lot of room for non-heretical doubt. Because I think previously, like, it would be considered, like, as a Dark Angels player, anytime someone's like, I don't agree with the chapter, like, that's a bad sign.
Time for interrogation.
Just the interrogation is a bullet. But I think that's not the case here. So I like all that. That'll make sense to me. It makes sense that you would have met both, particularly on area, because you were both in sector and both within like the various like Adeptus roles. So like as two agents of the Imperium, and then Somnus being someone who's sent around to these places. I think that's an easy fit. But none of that really matters as much as just the fact you've all been now brought into the sphere of I'm going to keep forgetting his name, Veronius. I'm going to write it down somewhere nice and easy where I can see it all the time. I wrote a full list of characters and didn't write the guy who hired you because I'm a real hero.
Or Jackal or Jackal.
Yeah,
Jackal.
Jackal Veronius. So Veronius has brought you all into his orbit, and you've all been assigned to the Herald Veronius, which is a storage ship in the flotilla. Previously, not a tremendously powerful ship. It's a void ship that was a transport. However, due to some heroic actions during the crossing, it was able to defend the Ducal Circlet, which is the flagship of the fleet that Veronius is upon, and as a result was granted the Veronius name to really like give it the extra honorific and pump it up. And now it is the height of luxury. So this is the ship, this is the private jet you send to pick up important people. And the three of you have been tasked with escorting it back to the flotilla, having picked up some VIPs who are meant to join the flotilla from various worlds around Gilead. Okay. So each of you has come aboard the Herald Veronius with your own agenda, your own plans, but of course under the strict orders of Veronius to ensure that the ship is safe, that the ship arrives safely, and that the VIPs aboard it come to no harm during the passage. Of course, this is a dangerous place in a dangerous time, so there can be no certainty and no way to assure the safety of anyone. But the goal of the Veronius Herald the Herald Veronius is to create as much of a sense of that as possible. It's very much a cabaret during wartime. It's meant to just, everything is fine on board this ship. There's a spa. The food is excellent. It's a luxury vehicle. And again, a part of the game of keeping control of the Gilead sector is being able to provide such breads and circuses to the people to ignore the widening great rift that threatens to consume the sector, which is where we find all three of you when the captain's summons come to join him and some of these most valued guests at a feast. And for the three of you, this continues to be a strange experience because you're in the height of luxury. Your beds are soft. There is food. There is entertainment. You're all deeply uncomfortable. But you cannot refuse an order by the captain. And as a result, the three of you make your way to the banquet hall, which is where we will pick up with you next episode.
Wrath and Glory Traitor's Hymn features our storyteller Tom McGee, along with players Ryan LaPlante, Del Borovic, and Spencer Hipwell. Special thanks to Cubicle 7 for supplying us with the Wrath and Glory starter set for this adventure. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the One Shots logo was created by Decapitated Markers at Decapitated Marker. That's MRKR. This show's theme music is Gothic Trip with Thunder Horse by Damiano Baldoni, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. I'm DJ One Shot 2.0. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button and show your love to One Shots.
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy, Funky Head, Nomad, the Wise Paladin of the Badlands, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Old Man Mojo, Dragonfly, The Body Barrelers, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, The Gata Family, Ellis Hatch, Odigenous, Dan the Welshman, Afflicto Gaming, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.